everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Phoenix Ashvice, where I give you advice about coming back from your falls and rising from your ashes. Today's episode, I'll be trying to do a follow-along from the previous one, which was the battlefield, the oasis, and the void. If you listen to that one, you would remember that it consisted of giving yourself a mental image of what goes on in your mind. Now, I myself tried to post my own podcast episode. I apologize for the stutters, and realized maybe I wasn't elaborate enough knowing. So I'm going to try seeing if I maybe have any more tips or advice that I can give, and maybe even mention some more things that can happen with it. So let me begin with trying to elaborate more on the side of the battlefield. What I meant by it would be as if you're fighting yourself, inner conflict, as it would be called. I understand that some people might have it severely, a bit too much, and that can be a lot for one person. And I mentioned last time, for all three mainly, that you can always choose to do therapy. But as I also mentioned, if you are like me, you might not want to or feel it's not your thing, which is fine. I don't see anything wrong with it personally. All I'll suggest is perhaps having a close friend that you have these conversations with. Someone that understands you, someone that's similar to you in a way. I get that some people might not have this person, and that might be why they listen to my podcast. Which, if that is the reason, then you can always leave a comment now that we have those on the podcasts, if you are watching on Spotify, I believe, or listening. And if you put a comment there, I will try giving you my Discord if I can, so that you can privately message me for any issues you have. Now, I also know, as I was saying about the battlefield with the inner conflicts, it can get really hard to cope. I've been on that end myself. That's the only reason why I know. I only got out of it thanks to the people who were close to me. My close ones. My best mate. Some more friends from college. It's just people that I care for, or people that care for me. They help me get out of that situation. Sometimes without even knowing it. So, what I'll do, instead of elaborating on the battlefield and the others, I'll instead mention about the masks. If you are like me, you might end up putting a mask on for certain people. A certain act. For me, I would end up calling these personalities, which would usually be a bipolar disorder thing, but I'm not saying that's all it is. I'm not claiming to have it. I've never been tested for it, I'm just saying that that is originally what it would be. But otherwise, it is just the facade that you put on for people. Say, for strangers, you have kind of like your own personality that has a really bitter hatred to everyone. You don't really want to talk first, maybe. Or maybe you're too shy, and instead of hatred, you're more afraid. It could be that when they get closer to you, you kind of bring out a more inner version of you. Maybe one that's a bit more open, or kind of trying to get by with jokes. The one after that could be like the really close side to you, almost as if you're in a relationship with them. It's being as honest as you can be without going too far. Trying to within the right grounds seems sane. And maybe you have more, maybe you have less. Perhaps you have one that, if they get really close to you, you'll kind of show a bit of your psychopathic side if you have one. Or maybe a bit of your addiction side. Such as you invite them over to your house, and then you end up watching your favorite anime with them. They get to love it, and then you both end up feeling like soulmates in a way. It's the fact of other people and what you do with them. That is what determines about how you cope with things. Some past experiences can affect this. You could have trust issues from a previous betrayal. You could end up being really hostile when someone disagrees with you. You might not be able to take criticism. I know I can't, and I'm fine admitting that. But with those close to me, I have to take their criticism, because I know they're trying to help rather than bring me down. It's a very confusing thing for most. I am not really qualified to go into too much detail, and so if I explained it, most of my answers might be wrong. But you're here for tips that have helped me. And like I've mentioned, it's mostly the friends that you make along the way of your life journey. It can always be a spur of the moment thing. It can be that someone randomly appears in your life and you end up being best mates. Or you could end up growing closer to some stranger that you just meet and remember the entire time. For example, if you maybe knew me in person, I would end up mentioning a lot about my old YouTube days from my previous YouTube channel before Phoenix Free, in which I had a friend who I don't have permission to say his name, so I'll try and give him a different one. We will call him Kenny. Why not? So, Kenny, an old friend of mine, I met when I was young. We were both young. He lived in America while I was in the UK. Our whole shtick was just playing games together, making some content, and getting some laughs. But it always felt as if we were faking for each other. Trying to make it seem like our lives were perfect in a way. But as we got closer, we realized about the problems that we both have. And we've not spoken a while, because we've been giving each other breaks. Every time we'd be in a call, we'd end up being a bit more silent, and well, I mean, if you're in a silent call for about an hour, it don't really feel as good as it used to. But you miss how you feel back then. Not the games, or the times. Well, that's exactly it. It's feeling, not action. Your feelings are your core. And that's why everything can seem so jumbled up at times. Hence the previous episode of the Battlefield Oasis Void. I'm just mentioning that again, but if you want to hear more about that again, it's just a previous podcast episode from last week. But yeah. I'm just going to summarize it again. The main tip that I have is to just have friends. Ones that you can properly trust, that are close to you. If you trust them and they trust you, and you're honest with each other, it can make life a lot better for the both of you. It's why it's usually called a ride or die. Someone that you'd have the back of no matter what, and they'd have yours too. If they betray that, then that's where the trust issues can show. But as I also mentioned in the last one, you can't expect the reward with no risk. Anyway, that is all I have for today's episode. I apologize if it's a bit jumbled up. But I will see you all next Monday. Because I'll be trying to upload these on Mondays. Might change it to Wednesdays, I'm not too sure as of yet. But for now, we'll do Mondays. So, I will see you next Monday at about 6 AM, I believe. Alright. Have a good day, everyone. And fly high. Live a good life and rise from those ashes, eh?